750 F-22 Raptors, the most advanced air superiority fighter ever built. That was what the United States Air Force said it needed to dominate the skies against any adversary on Earth. Then that number became 648, then 339, then 277, then 187, and then 0. The production line closed in 2011. The tooling was dismantled. The specialized workers scattered. Today, the United States Air Force operates 187 F-22 Raptors and cannot build a single additional one, even if Congress authorized the money tomorrow. Here's what makes that number terrifying. China now operates more than 200 Chengdu J-20 stealth fighters, and that number is still climbing. How did America end up with fewer advanced stealth fighters than China? The answer is one of the most consequential and least understood decisions in modern military history. Before we talk about what went wrong, you need to understand what the F-22 actually is. Because this story only makes sense if you appreciate exactly what America decided to stop building. The F-22 Raptor is not simply a very good fighter jet. It is a different category of aircraft entirely. It can cruise at supersonic speed, above Mach 1.5, without using its afterburner. That matters because afterburners leave a heat signature. The F-22 can go fast and stay nearly invisible at the same time. Its radar cross-section, the size it appears on enemy radar, is approximately equal to a metal marble. A marble, the aircraft that fires it, weighs 43,000 pounds. It can fly higher than almost any other fighter, maneuver at angles that should be physically impossible, and engage multiple targets simultaneously before any of them know it's there. Here's what most people don't realize. The F-22 has never lost a simulated dogfight against any other aircraft, American or foreign, in the history of its operational testing. Not once. And America stopped building it anyway. Here's why. The story of the F-22 begins not with a fighter jet, but with a fear. In 1981, the United States Air Force looked at the Soviet Union's aviation program and saw something alarming. The Soviets were developing a new generation of fighter aircraft, specifically the Su-27 flanker, that threatened to match, and in some areas exceed, the capability of the F-15 Eagle, America's frontline air superiority fighter. The Air Force launched the Advanced Tactical Fighter Program, a competition to build something that no adversary could touch. Lockheed and Boeing won the contract. The design they produced, which would eventually become the F-22, was extraordinary. Its first flight was in September 1990. By September 1991, the Soviet Union was dissolving. Think about what that means. The aircraft was designed to defeat an adversary that ceased to exist before the plane ever entered service. The $26.2 billion program had been conceived for a threat that had evaporated, and the aircraft didn't achieve initial operational capability until 2005, a full 14 years after its primary adversary disappeared from the map. That gap between the threat the F-22 was built for and the world that existed when it finally flew is where the trouble began. Here's a number that tells the whole story: $35 million. That was the original estimated cost per F-22 when the Air Force planned to buy 750 of them. The logic was straightforward. Buy a lot, spread the development costs across a large fleet, keep the per-unit price manageable. But as the planned quantity fell, from 750 to 648 to 339 to 277. Something unavoidable happened. The $67.3 billion in total program costs had to be divided across fewer and fewer aircraft. By the time production ended at 187 aircraft, the all-in cost per F-22 had reached $356 million per plane. To put that in perspective, $356 million would buy you 4 to 5 F-35 Lightning IIs, or 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, or enough to fund the entire operating budget of a medium-sized American city for a year. And here's what made the cost spiral impossible to stop. The Obey Amendment, passed by Congress in 1998, made it illegal to export the F-22 to any foreign nation. Every other American combat aircraft, the F-16, the F-15, the F-35, offset its production costs by selling to allies. Japan, Saudi Arabia, Israel, South Korea, they all buy American fighters, which keeps production lines running and unit costs down. The F-22 could not be sold to anyone, not because allies didn't want it. Japan made multiple requests that were all denied, but because the stealth coatings and sensor systems were considered too classified to risk in foreign hands. No exports, falling production numbers, soaring unit costs. The trap was set. In 2009, Defense Secretary Robert Gates stood before Congress and made the case for ending F-22 production at 187 aircraft. His official argument was cost. The program had become too expensive for what it delivered. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan required different capabilities: ground support, intelligence, surveillance, not air-to-air dominance over an adversary that didn't exist. The F-35, cheaper and more versatile, could handle most of the missions the F-22 would never be needed for. It was a reasonable argument for 2009. But here's what most people don't know, and what General Norton Schwartz, the Air Force Chief of Staff at the time, revealed in his 2018 memoir. The real reason Gates was willing to end F-22 production was to protect a different program entirely: the long-range strike bomber, what would eventually become the B-21 Raider. Gates needed room in the Air Force budget. Something had to go, and the F-22, expensive and politically vulnerable, was the answer. Schwartz wrote that he and the civilian Secretary of the Air Force ultimately agreed to accept the 187 aircraft cap, not because they believed it was sufficient, but because it was the only way to preserve the bomber program they considered equally critical to future warfare. The F-22 wasn't killed because it failed. It was killed because something else needed the money. President Obama threatened to veto any bill that funded additional F-22 production. Congress accepted the cap in July 2009. The last F-22 was delivered in 2012. The production line was shut down. The jigs, fixtures, and specialized tooling were dismantled. There is no going back. Today, the United States Air Force nominally operates 187 F-22 Raptors. Here's what that number actually means in practice. Of those 187, 33 are Block 20 aircraft. Block 20 jets were built for training, not combat. They lack the full sensor integration and weapons capabilities of the combat-coded Block 30 and Block 35 variants. The Air Force has been trying to retire these aircraft for years, considering them obsolete even for training purposes, but Congress has repeatedly blocked the move, fearing the optics of voluntarily reducing the F-22 fleet. That leaves approximately 154 combat-capable aircraft. Factor in routine maintenance cycles, depot-level repairs, and the grueling requirements of low-observable stealth maintenance. The special radar-absorbing coatings that make the F-22 nearly invisible require far more time and specialized labor than conventional aircraft, and the number of F-22s available for actual operational use on any given day is smaller still. In September 2025, Lockheed Martin announced plans to upgrade 35 of those Block 20 training jets to combat-ready Block 3035 standards. It was significant news. It was also not a solution. It's an expensive repair of a problem that should never have been allowed to exist. Meanwhile, China's Chengdu Aerospace Corporation delivered its 200th J-20 stealth fighter sometime in late 2024. New aircraft are being delivered at a rate that American intelligence analysts estimate at 30 to 50 per year. The J-20 is not as capable as the F-22 in most performance metrics, but there are more of them, and that number is growing. Here is the uncomfortable arithmetic. The United States cannot build more F-22s. The production line is gone. Reopening it would cost an estimated $15 billion or more and take at least 5 years. And that assumes the workforce with the specialized skills still exists, which it largely does not. America's most advanced air superiority fighter is a finite resource, and it is being used up. In February 2023, the F-22 Raptor got its first air-to-air kill. It shot down a Chinese surveillance balloon off the coast of South Carolina. After nearly 2 decades of service, the most advanced fighter aircraft ever built achieved its first combat success against a balloon traveling at 60,000 feet. That moment crystallized everything about the F-22 story. An aircraft designed to dominate peer adversaries in high-intensity aerial combat. An aircraft so capable that pilots who have flown both say there is nothing remotely like it, has spent its service life largely on the sidelines. The wars America fought after 2001 didn't need air superiority fighters. They needed persistence, bombs on target, and ISR. Not the F-22. The decision that ended production was not irrational for its time. Gates was right that 2009 America was not facing a pure air power threat. He was wrong that it never would. The F-22's unit cost, $356 million, is often cited as proof the program failed. But consider the alternative arithmetic. 187 aircraft at $356 million each equals $66 billion total. That is less than what the United States has spent on the F-35 program in a single year. The question was never whether America could afford the F-22. It was whether America chose to prioritize it. It did not. And now China is building stealth fighters at a pace the United States cannot currently match, while America fields a fleet of 187 aircraft it can never expand, maintained by crews working harder every year to keep aging jets combat ready. The F-22 is not a failure. It is a warning about what happens when the most capable weapon system in history gets sacrificed to budget politics during a moment of strategic distraction. The F-22 story doesn't end with the production line closing in 2011. It continues right now in classified programs offices where engineers are designing what comes next. The Air Force's Next Generation Air Dominance Program, NGAD, is supposed to be the F-22's successor, a 6th-generation fighter that will outperform the Raptor the way the Raptor outperformed everything before it. But NGAD has its own problems. Cost estimates have already triggered congressional alarm. The timeline keeps slipping, and the program faces the exact same budget pressures that killed the F-22 in a defense environment that is simultaneously funding new destroyers, new submarines, new carriers, and a new generation of long-range strike weapons. Whether America learned from what happened to the F-22 or whether it is about to repeat the same mistake with NGAD is a story we will cover on Naval Air Dispatch. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And if the story of the F-22 was something you didn't fully know before today, that is exactly what this channel is for.